Greetings, I am Taven Sai. I am a black Christian that has some evolutionary beliefs. The reason why I say this is because I've seen the Amazing Atheist video questions white people have for SJW. I personally think it should have been known as, the video should have been called Questions People Have for SJWs and Feminists. Because as I heard the questions that they asked, they seem more like questions not just only for SJWs, but for feminists as well. And apparently someone made a response to it, a negative response, because apparently when a bunch of people who are atheists get together, or other believers, and make questions like these, some people think it's foolish, ignorant, and dumb. That all the questions that they've asked these men are plainly stupid. So here's their answer to one of the questions. Which the first question was, why do you claim to speak for LGBT people, women, and ethnic minorities, but when LGBT people, women, and ethnic minorities disagree with you, you harass them? And their answer is, disagreement is not harassment. Where did the question say it was harassment? Where did it say that where does it say that they disagree and harass them in that question? I want to know. Persisting in pestering someone when they've asked you to stop harassment. When they've asked you to stop is harassment. These guys usually don't comprehend that. Obviously, this guy doesn't comprehend the question. Do you realize that your own war on, do you realize that your war on language and politician corrections has made you bedfellows with true race culture? In other words, Islam, the world more than something ideology? His answer to that was, I'm too busy waging war on Christmas to have a war on language, that each are as fiction as each other. Islam, Christianity, Judaism are all rather definitely misogynistic. I suppose most only the one that affects me the most. But that doesn't mean I think the others are hunky dory. I guess he's trying to say that he doesn't really care much for this question. And these are one of the things that I hate. Is when people make videos or comments that are meant for everyone or a group to hear, and when people make a response, they always do this one thing. They always speak for themselves. Now, what's wrong about speaking for themselves in videos like these is that they're not just talking to you, they're talking to everyone else. Not everyone has the same ideal, the same answer, the same belief, the same opinion. There are multiple different type of freaking feminists out here. There are some feminists that I do agree with, and there are some feminists I don't agree with. Out of all the feminists I've seen and met in my life, which would be about 18, I guess, I've only disagreed with like about I'm trying not to say I think, because it's between 5 and 7 that I've disagreed with. Funny thing was, I was gonna originally make a video stating that how I met a female that said she's a feminist, but other women have ruined what feminism truly is. Instead, this came up, and I decided to do this instead. So on to the next one. Okay, they said, do you want women to be equal, or do you want women to be a protected class? You can't have both, which is true. If you expect society to treat women as equal with men, why don't women have to take why don't women have to take responsibility for their own safety? They responded by saying they already do. The question should be about why men don't have to take responsibility for their aggressions and violence. Well, technically, they do take responsibility for their aggressions and violence. It's called going to jail for wrongfully assaulting someone. And how is it that they already do take responsibility for their actions, or I mean their own safety? Question 4 is, what are you afraid what are you afraid will happen when you leave your safe space? Their response was the same crap that happens every day. Why do you why do you resent the fact that some people would like a sanctuary where they don't have to listen to tedious assholes like you? Well, I actually disagree. I don't think that they're assholes at all. I don't think Chris Ray Gun, the Amazing Atheist, Atheism is Unstoppable, Undoomed, or any of the participants in that video are assholes. There are times where I have disagreed with them on certain things, but I don't think they're assholes. I'm still trying to understand this question right here. Not that question. I'm sorry. The answer to the question. I mean, like, what is it that they say that's not worth listening about? I mean, isn't it the same for SJW and feminists? They repeat themselves saying the same old, same old. And anti-SJW and anti-feminists are constantly giving them the same answer, which has not been countered or debunked at all by feminists or SJWs. Okay, number 5 is, how can you possibly justify the idea that it's somehow racist to disagree with Black Lives Matter, yet it's not racist when a black person tweets something like "kill all white people"? Their response is, are you serious? Are you seriously equating the Black Lives Matter movement with violent threats to kill all white people? Because they're not the same. Well, I somewhat disagree with most of what the Black Lives Matters have been going around saying and doing. Sorry about that. Didn't notice I had my mouse pointing over here. But like I said, I disagree with some of the things that have been said and done by the Black Lives Matter movement, like their riots, for one thing, just doesn't make any sense to me. And some of them make these weird arguments that kind of sound a little off. So not all of them sound racist or anything like that. It's just that it makes no sense to me on some of their arguments. I haven't heard all of their arguments. I'll say that. I'll say that. But from the ones that I have heard, some are a bit off, while the others are spot on. Okay, they all right. They go and write. Are you aware? Are you aware the present is not the past? Are you familiar with the concept of linear timeline? Because you seem incredibly comfortable traveling back through time by taking about how bad things were for women or black people or whomever, and then using some form of SJW magic and feminist magic, I might add, or feminazi magic. You then claim or imply that those problems in the past exist today. Are you aware that this trick that you are doing is not working? Why do you think that would work? Their answer to this question was, are you aware that consenting stupidity makes you look like an idiot? And those words came from us. Those words are spoken by a cartoon kangaroo, by the way. Well, what this cartoon kangaroo meant was that people are always living in the past. They don't think that all the past problems that we've had back in the 50s through the 80s or through the 70s has been fixed. They think that all of that is still here to this day. Yes, there is still racism to this day, but it's not that strong. This is one of the reasons why I thought that this was a question for feminists right here. It's because a lot of women always bring up the argument, most men think that women belong at home in kitchens doing housework. That's something from back in the 50s, before my time, before my brother's time, when my mother and father were just kids. I'm talking about those times. We live in a new age where everything is for almost everything is for everybody. But yet people still think that not everything is for everybody. People are still saying that there's still racism, there's still redneck racism, like people are getting away with it all, when that's not entirely true. Some people have faced punishment for their actions. Next question is, why do you think that you can spend your entire life in a state of perpetual emotional immaturity? Do you actually imagine that you will be able to stretch out your adolescence for your entire existence? Their response was, someone in a group of pompous, privileged dude bros actually asked that question. Well, I thought the question meant like, how long are you going to remain this childish, keep on acting like a child and doing such child behaviors towards people that point out your faults, your errors, and that rub facts and corrections in your face all the time, like name was I think Lauren Southers, and she was debunking a few SJWs and feminists at a rally. Not a rally. I'm sorry, I can't recall what that video was. But as she was, hitting people with facts and evidential proof of what they said was wrong, someone had poured water on her. That was what question number 7 meant. All right, let's go to number 8. They said, "Did you know that there are 13% more women in college right now than men? So if the whole goal of feminism is equality, shouldn't we have some men-only scholarships in order to equal everything out?" Now, I did find that question a little weird. I will admit that was a weird question right there. But his answer was, there are scholarships just for men. And looking at the answer he's given out, and it doesn't give out any examples like what are the scholarships for just men only, and if there are scholarships just for men. This person says, "I assure you, the educators are well aware of the disparities and are working constantly to correct them. The thing is that they are different problems. Women face social pressures that suppress economic and educational success, while men face social pressures that declare education to be unmanly." Okay, and among other things. Okay, now that I have to disagree with. I did not declare education to be unmanly. I believe that education is kind of like the source of gaining more money. That the smarter you are, the more human and manly you are, I guess. Whatever. Since he wants to say that education that that men face social pressures that declare education to be unmanly. Uh, how do we declare it to be unmanly? So, I want to know. Here's a question for this guy. Since when is education? When has education ever been gendered? I mean, like, why should one gender have this amount of education and the other? There's a question for you. Among other things, the men at my university are generally confident that they deserve to be there, while the women are more full of doubt. And there again is the speaking for yourself problem when it when it comes to responding to videos and statements that talk about groups or multiple people. These these are complex problems that won't be solved with scholarships. Scholarships are needed to correct economic inequalities, but there's more to this problem than just money. I will agree. There is more to the problem than just money. But I tell you about my college. In my college, the men there, they don't seem all that comfortable and great to be there. While the women over there really don't, well, some of them don't care, while the others are happy to be at this college. You see, this is a different point of view. Someone else at another different type of college opposed to someone else's college or university. Let's move on to question 9. If feminism and equalitarianism are both about equal rights, then why does one start with a gender prefix while the other one is entirely gender neutral? I don't understand his response to this. If, if medicine is all about making, excuse me, belch there. If medicine is all about making all people well, why do doctors specialize in, say, on colony or even on gynecology? I don't understand the answer. I don't understand the answer this guy gave this question. I'm just trying to think right here how to respond to this, because what the question means is that feminism is mostly talking about women's problems and not men's, while equalitarianism talks about men and women's problems. As a matter of fact, when a man comes to a feminist group and explains his problems, he gets laughed at and mistreated. I'm among those few men who have been laughed at and mistreated by feminists when I've explained one of my problems. Here's a true story for you that comes from my personal experience. When I was working at my first job, I'm not going to tell you guys where I worked, but my first job was at a store. I had found out that my grandmother had passed away, and she was a very important role in our family, well, in my family. And I tried to follow it up as best I can as I was at work, but I could not. I broke down crying, and a woman who is obviously a well-known feminist in the work group came to me stating, "What are you crying for? You're a man. You're not supposed to be crying. Your break is over. Get back to work." That's what I was hit with. I told her why I was crying. It was because my grandmother passed and she was very important to me. She says, "Well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's very sad, but still, leave that at home, not at work." And furthermore, I went downstairs where no one can see me crying, not out in public asking for people to look at me and pity me. So there's my negative impact with feminism about me sharing my emotions. Okay, here's number 10. What do you hope to gain by bringing back racial segregation? He responds by saying, "We don't." Then why is it that you have this whole no white men allowed areas or no men allowed areas on campuses and in certain other places? If you don't, if you say that you don't hope to bring back racial segregation, why have these things? Why have these places put in motion where a certain gender or race isn't allowed, but this gender or race is? All right, number 11. This was, I'll admit, a kind of a silly type of question. When my granduncle was dropping bombs on London, did your grandparents get out of their bunkers in the morning and to protest with signs that read, "Not all Nazis"? As they responded, "Did you know that there were anti-German riots in the UK? Let's just lash out and burn down businesses of everyone named," I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm just going to pass it, "no racism." even if their family had been living here for generations? Or how about the Japanese internment in the U.S.? The problem is rarely that citizens are overly zealous on recognizing diversity, but more that we tend to lump people together unfairly. This guy is starting to sound like this guy's starting to sound a little bit like Dr. Shane or Cheyenne. It's it's spelled Shaym. He's a YouTuber that also sounds like he agrees with the Amazing Atheist, with Chris Ray Gun, who isn't white actually, and Atheist Unstoppable, and also Undoing, and several others. And frankly, I technically don't disagree with the Amazing Atheist. I do not agree with his beliefs, but I respect them. That is what I personally think everyone should do. If you don't agree with someone's beliefs, you should at least respect what they believe in, respect what they think, and respect what they have, and also respect what they are. You don't have to agree to what they think, believe, and say. Just respect that this is what they believe in. Alright, back to his answer. The problem is rarely that citizens overzealous in recognizing diversity, but more that we tend to lump people together unfairly. I grew up in a Pacific Northwest where the affiliation is that not all Japs were America-hating traitors left feet scarred. Okay, I'll agree with that one. I'll give him that. I will agree with that. Okay, number 12. Why do you think every CIS white male is born racist? Racism is a learned behavior. And his response was, and you have learned it well. No one thinks that, by the way. I seriously doubt and disagree with that answer because some people in the SJW and feminist culture do have that thought process that they do think that every cis white male is born racist. It is sad to say that most African Americans or blacks think this is as well. Because they always tend to say these white folks, them white folks, those white people. I'm sorry about that. I stepped too far away from the mic. Let's get on with this. Number 13. How can you possibly say the phrase all lives matter is somehow racist? It sounds like someone the Dalai Lama would say. Saying all lives matter is not racist. Trying to deny the reality of racism against minorities by drowning out their specific concern with platitude is. And that is not what they're doing here. They're trying to say that, well, why is it called only Black Lives Matter? They're trying to say, what about other people that weren't just blacks that were killed and gunned down by cops and other people, and in against black on black or black on white crimes? They're trying to say, what about this type of group? What about them that is also suffered the same fate as black lives? Don't they matter? That's what they're trying to say. Number 14 is, would you rather be right or popular? It seems like their primary objective is to scare social points and get public validation. This sounds like Donald Trump a little. You speak publicly in the same way that people write their dating profiles. Stop trying to demonstrate how awesome you are and get real. The response was, wait. This one is said by some kind of animal dressed in a book in front of a video of a black woman lifting weights. I was distracted by the overwhelming irrelevancy of the whole thing. You were distracted by a woman working out, not listening. Okay, that's good. But no, injustice exists. Trying to right it has a greater purpose than social points. I didn't take much understanding on the video that was in in there as well. I don't know that I don't know what he's trying to say that this woman is working out to prove something, try to come up with a bodybuilder to say that she can equal out to be in a man field or something like that. I didn't even do that. But I will give him this. I will give him that it was kind of irrelevant, or I just didn't see the meaning behind it. Maybe we both didn't see its meaning. So hey, if you guys are watching this video, can you explain it a little? I don't mean to offend you guys. By the way, let's go on to number 15. So if a drunk man sleeps with a drunk woman, the woman is incapable of giving consent, but the man is. His response is, nope. This has been yet another edition of Simple Answers to Stupid Questions. Technically, this is not a stupid question. This has been hit many times. Many times before, where two drunk people get together and both their minds are on fucking and not in their right minds, where he's not thinking with his brain, he's thinking with his dick, and she's not thinking with her brain, she's thinking with her vagina. They both have sex, they both wake up thinking with their brains. She can easily say, well, I was raped, I was taken advantage of. While he's got nothing. All he can say is, I was drunk and I guess I agreed to it. But I guess she was drunk as well, though. That won't matter. None of that matters to other people. Because technically, yeah, to them, he does have consent. It's just that they don't care. The feminists and the SJW do not care whether if this male was drunk as well with the woman, or out of his right mind, or high off on something. Next question. Is it really easier trying to spend all your life attempting to pacify the world and subdue all around you, instead of accepting that you are the person that has to change? The response was, okay, you win, so you're going to give up the atheist thing and just accept Islam now? I guess he didn't take the question serious. Well, he did say he wasn't going to take it all serious. He did recommend someone else that did take it serious. I read his, and it seemed that that the other guy did take it more serious, but he did fall and rise short on a few things. Like, for example, the other guy fell short on the whole wage gap, which has been debunked in two different types of ways. He, he also spoke for himself and not everyone else when it comes to things like this. All right, number 17. When I sing along with rap music, is it okay if I say the word nigga? His response was, why do white people so desperately want an excuse to say nigga? It's just weird. Well, to be honest with you, my personal opinion is that I hate the N-word. And not all white people want or appreciate the N-word. And actually, some white people don't think it's okay. I hate the N-word being said by any race. My personal opinion, I find it kind of stupid and foolish that most black people call each other a word that was made by racial people. But however, that's just my opinion. I don't agree with it. I don't say it. I know it originated from the Mexican language Negro, which meant black in Spanish. All right, question number 18. How do you reconcile your opinion that gender doesn't matter or even exist with your need to invent new genders each day? The response was, I don't even. Gender matters a lot to individuals. It's the bias for a great deal of appealing discrimination and oppression. Who's denying it? Not anyone on my side. Okay, what they're talking about is transgenders, transsexuals, trannies and all that other stuff, or sex changes and stuff like that. When they're just trying to say that it's only male and female. Those are the only two genders. They're saying that transsexual genders and all that other stuff does not count. That's what they're trying to say. People that make sex changes or cross-dress are still either male or female to them and to me as well. I don't understand this guy's response. It says, I don't even. Gender matters a lot to individuals. It's the bias for a great deal of appealing discrimination and oppression. You must know who's denying it. Not anyone on my side. When there are people when there are actually feminists creating more genders out here. Next question. In your version of equality, will white men ever have a voice in society, or will white men always be too privileged to participate in discussion? And his response says the guy in a public video made entirely by white men complaining about society. Well, there are blacks complaining about society as well, similarly to how these men complain about society. Like me, for example, I'm complaining about how feminists are claiming everything to be sexist, to racist, and to offensive. Next one is, question they made was, what makes you think the power of censorship that you are so desperately trying to establish now will at one point be used against you? And it's true, it could be used against these feminists and SJW that are trying to use, that are trying to obtain censorship. His response was saying that I don't want to listen to you is not censorship. Well, okay, yeah, that is true. Saying that he doesn't want to listen to you is not censorship. One of your problems is that you demand that everyone must pay attention to you while you shout down at no, they do not. No. I totally disagree with that answer and with that statement. The Amazing Atheist, Chris Ray Gun, and I believe Undoom have always stated, feel free to comment on my videos. Feel free to tell me that I am wrong and how I am wrong. Because I believe the Amazing Atheist made a video. In one of the Amazing Atheist videos, a couple of people said that he was wrong, and the Amazing Atheist replied, "How was he wrong?" They made no responses. That's what the Amazing Atheist said. Huh? But here's what I will give you in your defense. The Amazing Atheist did not show the comments of people saying that he was wrong. I would have liked to have seen those comments where people said that the Amazing Atheist, you're wrong, and where he replied, "How am I wrong?" I would have loved to see that in a new video as proof to that statement, but Sensei, he did not show that. So I cannot fully, I guess I cannot fully use that statement then. But I'll just bring it out there anyway. Number 21. Why is it that if a woman dresses sexy or even topless in public, you support it, but if a female video game character is dressed too sexy, then you want her clothes worn modestly? Okay, the response is, if a woman chooses to dress however she wants, that's her right. The whole my body, my right bullshit. Or hypocrisy. When other people decide that the majority representation of women in media, where did media come into play in this question? When it's mostly just feminists and SJ warriors complaining about Bayonetta, complaining about Dead or Alive, complaining about, I'm trying to think of other games, and about Tomb Raider. Well, the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 2 versions, and PlayStation 1, about Overwatch. And it took me a while to think of a few things that these feminists and SJW find offensive and disagree with. Turns out there's not that many women that are discriminated, or seen as sex objects, or feel insulted that this woman is dressed like this in a video game. The reason why I didn't point out Dead or Alive is because I believe Dead or Alive is somewhat based off Japan's style of a woman back in earlier times. I believe it was the Japanese Kanoichi who invented the sex appeal technique in order to distract men in combat. which was, I believe, brought up by Gaijin Guba in his defense towards the Dead or Alive video games. But let's see back to his response. Majority representation of women in media will always be sexy. That is wrong. You do realize that video game characters aren't voluntary agents, right? Video game characters. Yeah, we do realize that video game characters aren't voluntary agents. They're fictional beings, dressed similar or a little revealing to the women out here in the real world. I mean, like, have you seen how most of our women dress in mini skirts way above the knees, to the point where if God decided to blow wind down upon the earth, it wouldn't take much wind just to see their panties, or just to tell what type of color, or to tell if they're wearing striped panties or whatever their underneath their skirt is, or how they're so revealing that if they just bend down, you can easily see what type of bra they have, or what color their bra is, and stuff like that. I mean, like, I live in Chicago, and we had a hellish winter. Tell me why I saw, when it was like about below 40, I saw women in summer dresses with no leggings or stockings, by the way, outside in the harsh winter where it was below 40, like around 36 or 26 degrees, dressed in summer clothing. And they're outside waiting for a cab or their friend for about over 30 minutes while I'm freaking bundled up waiting for the bus to come by and pick me up. Alright, next question. What is your... okay, I'm going to skip this because I thought that was a stupid question as well. What is your favorite song to sing really loud when you're confronted with a different point of view? And it was 433 by John Cage. No, I actually first thought that this said Johnny Cage. I guess because the guy's name is John Cage. Question number 23. Why are you afraid of dissenting opinions? Your continued attempts to silence all oppositions, either by smearing them publicly or labeling their context as hate speech and having it removed, only severes the insulate your bubble even more and maintain your echo chamber. It also prevents you from taking on new information and hearing different points of view that are sometimes superior to yours, which tends to happen whenever I talk. Well, not me, but when Undoom, the Amazing Atheist, Chris Ray Gunn, and several other people that negatively speak about feminism and SJW. The response was, "Nah, sorry, your point of view is common as mud and not particularly interesting. By the way, you seem to have confused afraid with extraordinarily bored." I think it's this guy. It's got it all confused. It's got this whole thing confused and all that stuff. Because what they're mostly talking about is Steve Shive, who is a guy who I have never heard of or met until I saw the Amazing Atheist rant about Steve Shive, about how if if you go to Steve Shive's Twitter account, you're blocked. You've never met this guy, you've never seen this guy, you never talked about this guy, and you've never talked about what this guy is all about. Which is true. I've never seen, heard, or met Steve Shive. I go to his Twitter page, to see if this is true, and lo and behold, it is true. I am actually blocked from Steve Shive's. I don't know how I could be blocked from Steve Shive's Twitter page because I've never talked about feminism or the SJW on my Twitter page, mostly about game ideas. Number 24. What is reverse racism? Like, what the actual fuck is it? It's just racism, right? And I thought that was a good question because I really didn't know what reverse racism was. I thought it was like blacks being racist towards blacks or whites being racist towards whites. And his response was, do you even know what reverse racism is? Do you even know that reverse racism is not a concept supported by us SJW, but rather an excuse for resentment against policies of affirmative action promoted by people like you? Well, technically it is not. I have not seen reverse racism being said or promoted by people like the Amazing Atheist, or like Undoom, or like Chris Ray Gunn, or like atheism is unstoppable, and so on. I mostly hear that reverse racism come out of a feminist mouth. Number 25. Do any of you people actually remember the pronouns? You know the list, right? The one with 76 fucking genders. And his response was, do you remember all the names people use for each other? There are millions of, I'm not gonna do all this. I'm gonna skip the names. How do you keep them straight? It's gotten to the point where I see some stranger on the street and I don't know what they're called and I have to ask them. It's horrific. What Undoing is talking about is the feminists that make up these weird and ridiculous genders and state them as actual genders when they're just nothing more than made up fictional fairy tale genders. The 26th question is, why do you feel entitled to control what artists and entertainers are allowed to express? Why do you think your sensibility should be placed above the sensibilities of actual creators? Response was, who has control of what artists express? Not me. Well, okay, you can say it's not you, but what about the rest? What about others? Like the article that stated, I don't care you landed satellite on a meteor, your shirt is still sexist. And he stated that his shirt was custom made by a woman. I don't see how his shirt was sexist at all, and they're gonna ignore his amazing scientific discovery over the fact that his shirt was sexist and he was forced to apologize when I don't think he should have apologized for wearing such a shirt as that? That's where the question comes from. And his response continues on as, do these privileged assholes feel entitled to control our expressions of sorry, I'm a little tired right now. Of digest and race, digest at the racism. I mean, disgust at the racism and sexism they represent. How do they represent racism and sexism? Is my question. I mean, like, what racism have come out of their mouths? What sexism have they spoken? Are you referring to the fact that Undum sometimes calls people that are feminist morons? Well, he doesn't call them a moron because they're feminist or SJWs. He calls them a moron because of the dumbest things they say and represent. Like how one feminist said that some people say that feminism is for men and women when it is entirely false. That is a symbol of stupidity right there, and thus gives some people the title, well, not some, but everyone the title to call that person stupid. Question number 27. Have you ever considered the using the term racism and sexism as hardly you do to describe everything under the sun that makes you feel uncomfortable, devalues the word to the point that it actually hurts the people who actually suffer from real racism and real sexism? How you have you ever fucking thought of that? His response was, this is the accumulating question of a video in which a bunch of Christopher Gunn isn't white, and how do you know that atheism is unstoppable is white when his freaking avatar is a kangaroo? When I personally think that that the Amazing Atheist should have titled this video better, as in here's a proper title. I know I've said it before. I'll probably say it again, maybe a little different. Here's the proper title for this video: Men or People that Have Questions for SJW and Feminists. Or just plain men that have questions for SJW and Feminists. But back to his response to his question. I'm sorry, back to his response to his question. This is the accumulating question of a lady which a bunch of white men rant about what makes them feel uncomfortable. No, they actually rant about what makes everyone feel uncomfortable and what makes everyone feel that it's unfair for them to do this and to do that, for them to say everything that is not racist or sexist and to be racist or sexist to them. Like Anita Sarkeesian said in one of her speeches, which I thought was complete bullshit. Everything is sexist, everything is racist. I want to know, how is a black man walking by, minding his own business, racist and sexist? Since she states that everything is sexist and everything is racist, and you have to point it all out. What is so sexist about a mailman coming by a woman's house delivering her mail and leaving? what is so what I just want to know what is so sexist and racist for me to make this video. This is just a video that supports what the Amazing Atheist, what Chris Raygun, Undoom, Atheism is Unstoppable are all talking about. They're trying to defend freedom of speech. They're trying to say that feminism is going a bit too far in certain areas, and that feminism has reached the point where it's been tarnished, where it doesn't mean that we want equality anymore. It means that we want superiority. There is, however, one final shot of one of the white guys suggesting that SJWs outright drink bleach. They mean all SJWs should die. They mean that all feminists should die, which I will disagree with. Not all feminists should die. There are some feminists that do agree with the Amazing Atheist. There are some feminists that do agree with Chris Raygun. There are some feminists that do agree with Undoom. There are some feminists that do agree with atheism is unstoppable. There are some feminists, and I guess SJW, that agree with the rest of the people that speak just like the Amazing Atheist. And he also states, again, if you want to read a reply that makes these clowns somewhat more serious, see Martin Hughes. I did actually see his, and it was a tad bit more serious, but I just didn't feel like, responding to two other people's response. His was Martin Hughes was a bit longer, and I was feeling a bit lazy. I actually saw this guy's first. I'm sorry if this may be a bit long, so I'm gonna try my best to do what Blasphemous HD doesn't do. Edit some of this out to make it short. I actually kind of find it strange that a guy who believes in a little bit of Christianity and evolution and who is black, who agrees with the Amazing Atheist and what he speaks about. You're probably going to get a lot of people saying that I'm not black, I don't believe in Christianity if I believe in evolution, or how can I believe in Christianity and evolution at the same time? The reason why I believe in Christianity and evolution is because I do believe that God created everything. It's just that mankind evolved on its own in order to get where we are to this day. Thank you. I'm Tate inside the game ideas. I hope to see you guys later. Why don't you guys type in some of the comments in the comment section? Type in some of your game ideas. Write their stories. The titles what would make a good game. And I'll try my best to read and look at them. See you guys later.